7 Australian victims of New Zealand's White Island volcano tragedy have now been identified. Prime Minister Scott Morrison has confirmed ADF aircraft will transport patients back to Australia as part of a repatriation effort. Just 2 weeks ago, Brian Dallow was watching the second test at the Adelaide Oval with his only son, Gavin. On Wednesday, New Zealand authorities confirmed the worst. Gavin Dallow is a victim of the devastating volcanic eruption.
He was a generous man, always helping his family and the wider community. We'll miss him at the cricket, or I will, at least.
The 53-year-old was on holiday with his wife Lisa and her daughter Zoe Hosking. The 15-year-old is presumed dead, her body still on White Island where the eruption took place.
Our heart breaks at the loss of Zoe at such a young age.
Lisa remains in hospital with severe burns. Coffs Harbour couple Carla Matthews and Richard Elzer, along with friend Jason Griffiths, were on a cruise with 6 friends. The trio were visiting White Island on a shore excursion during the time of the eruption. Their friends have released a statement confirming their deaths, including Jason, who died in hospital surrounded by family and friends. We have been advised that there are no signs of life on the island. We are incredibly saddened to have lost 3 of our closest friends. 47-year-old Brisbane woman Julie Richards and her 20-year-old daughter Jessica lost their lives on Monday afternoon. They were part of a small group touring the active volcano in the Bay of Plenty when it erupted.
Amongst the family who would know them would say that if there was an adventure that offered itself, then they would be the ones to do it.
There are still concerns the worst is yet to come. Still missing is Melbourne woman Crystal Browett, Martin and Barbara Hollander from Sydney and their 2 children, Sydney husband and wife Anthony and Christine Langford and their teenage daughter. Their son Jesse is reported to be alive, but it has not been officially confirmed. While several more Australians previously listed as missing have reportedly been identified in hospital suffering severe burns, Prime Minister Scott Morrison has confirmed ADF aircraft will transport patients back to Australia. In a statement, he says, "We anticipate transferring up to 10 injured patients to New South Wales and Victoria starting within the next 24 hours. Any transfers will depend strictly on medical decisions from doctors that it is safe to move the patients." 3 Royal Australian Air Force aircraft have been deployed to New Zealand as part of the repatriation effort. There were 24 Australians on the island at the time of the eruption. And recovery teams are on standby to travel to New Zealand's White Island to retrieve the remaining 8 bodies. But they continue to be hampered by dangerous conditions on the island. Authorities warning another eruption is likely.
This is Whakaari, White Island on Wednesday. A large plume of smoke shoots into the air. Below, the bodies of 8 people who stood no chance up against Mother Nature's fury.
We are standing by to go back to that island. The resources are at Whakatane. As soon as we are confident that there are no risks and that those risks can be managed when we return to that island, we will do so. It is too dangerous to return to the island at the moment.
That's because of increased volcanic activity. Based on data collected on Wednesday morning, scientists determined a 40 to 60% chance of another eruption within 24 hours.
There is the risk of another eruption, like Monday's eruption, while on the island.
Recovery teams are standing by to retrieve the remaining victims' bodies. But right now, on the island, it would be challenging to see, breathe and walk. Still, police say they are absolutely committed to returning the bodies to loved ones.
Those families and friends absolutely deserve closure. And so I'm going to work really hard to make that happen.
The official death toll from the disaster stands at 6. It will rise to 14 once the deaths of the 8 people on the island are confirmed. Another 30 people are in hospital. The majority have critical burns. 1.2 million square centimetres of skin is being sent from the US for badly burnt patients.
We currently have supply, but are urgently sourcing additional supplies to meet the demand for dressing and temporary skin grafts.
An Australian Defence Force aircraft has been sent here to New Zealand. It will transport some of the Australian survivors back home, where they will continue to receive treatment. It will also take some pressure off the stretched and exhausted New Zealand medical teams working in burns units that are at capacity. The result of an eruption that is almost certain to have claimed 14 lives, with many more fighting for their lives. Jackson Williams, Sky News, Whakatane.